So what is it? It's about 18 months, is it, since we did this?
It must be.
The first time around?
Must be. Well, that time we were, fixated on the whole idea that we have a partnership now with a joint product offering to take to market. And that was, it had been, a very difficult process to get there with both organizations, and just to get that right and get the service delivery to the level that we wanted to.
I had COVID that day.
Yes.
I had COVID that day. We did that. I did not remember anything I said. I had to look at the recording afterwards to see it.
I know. But, so much has happened over the last couple of years now since then. We've been literally traveling the world and talking to all of our respective teams and customers and partners.
Yep.
About the HPE GreenLake colocation offer that we've built together. It's been so interesting through this year to see the inflection point, really, from it being something our customers asked us for to now something they're really accelerating with, to see triple the growth this year from the previous year. It's been quite incredible.
I don't know if you remember, but there was no real talk of AI back then.
No.
We were talking about it internally. You were talking about it internally, but there was no market hype around AI then.
No, but there was a huge conversation from us about hybrid, and we were starting to see that transform from Antonio's messages back in 2019 of hybrids, where we're going, to a realization at that point, even 2 years ago, that hybrid's where we are.
Yeah.
And then, of course, what we've seen over the last couple of years is, well, yes, we are in this hybrid reality, but so many of our customers are there by accident. And to your point about AI, they can't be there by accident for AI.
No, you won't get away with that.
AI need to be hybrid by design.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that I think, there's probably two different things, two different topics here that we're touching on. One is hybrid cloud in general terms, right? Because in some ways that's still being adopted, because the customers that are hybrid by accident are now trying to become hybrid by design. And they're pretty necessary foundations if they're going to gradually evolve then into hybrid AI as well. I was looking at a McKinsey report recently, and they expect 50% of enterprises to adopt enterprise AI in their organization over the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's an incredible shift. 50% of enterprises globally, that is no small number of companies. So they can't do that without doing it by design. You think about the cost implications for the compute power for hybrid workloads, hybrid AI workloads, as opposed to, I'll give you an example, Scott. Now I know you're familiar with this from our discussions. Traditionally, even up to 4 or 5 years ago, enterprises putting in 2 to 10 kilowatt racks.
Yeah.
And now we're already with you, preparing customers for 100 kilowatts and more in a rack. So if you've got compute power sitting there, if it's not optimized by design, it's going to cost you an awful lot of money.
Absolutely.
So you have to be by design.
Yeah, and those 2 to 10 kilowatt racks you're talking about, that's the age of the web app we're talking about there.
That's right.
The workloads that we're running with those are a lot lower utilization rates, as well as a lot lower power demand. So the 2 to 10 kilowatts is probably running at 60% utilization. So for many of those web app workloads, the public cloud made a heap of sense from a shared resource perspective. Even if some of those workloads couldn't run in a shared resource environment, and sovereignty and compliance and so on needed to be outside of the public cloud, we could solve for that with our HPE GreenLake and Digital Realty offers.
Yeah, with plenty of use cases to address that.
Yeah, but with the increasing utilization levels, then you're challenged around the power capacity, the power capability, and how much does it make sense to be on a shared resource from a data sovereignty perspective, and also from an economic perspective, running at those high utilization levels.
Yeah, I think when you take a step back and you think about hybrid before we even talk about hybrid AI, right? I think hybrid cloud. Look, the great thing and the great challenge about working in this industry has always been that customers want more for less, right? They want more performance, they want greater business outcomes, they want to reduce their time to market, and we're there to facilitate that.
Yeah.
And the good news, I think, about our partnership is that we know our swim lanes, right? We don't compete often in partner ecosystems. When enterprises have a number of partners on a project, there may be a level of competition or crossover. Our swim lanes are very, very clear.
Yeah.
And that makes it really, really easy for us then to try to address together problems and challenges customers are having designing their hybrid cloud infrastructure. And I think what's happening as they look for greater performance, greater compute, greater business outcomes, more and more they're looking for not so much bleeding edge, even though everything we think we hear about AI sounds bleeding edge. What they want is they want leading edge. And they also don't want to necessarily deal with multiple partners, even though some new partners are needed in that new ecosystem, right? As we move from hybrid cloud into hybrid AI. They want to have be able to get the benefits of hybrid AI without using multiple partners per se, or without having to communicate through multiple channels all the time. And I think when we move to hybrid cloud, from largely customers having full control in their own data center environments and moving then to a more distributed IT infrastructure, I think connectivity, which is where our service fabric orchestration platform comes in, I think connectivity became pivotal. I think a lot of your conversations with customers before hybrid cloud, very few of them talked about connectivity. And that was a big game changer. And definitely now, in the era of hybrid AI, the conversation is much more now about compute power and performance. It's about cooling. It's about even sustainability and regulation and compliance, right?
Yeah.
Data is now the center of that conversation.
Yeah.
Connectivity is table stakes, right? But data is now central. And I think that they're the sort of problems now that we see ourselves helping customers with, but we're in a really good place to do that. I was talking to Chris Sharp, our CTO, recently, and he reminded me that, we've been in the AI space probably since 2016, 2017, because, we've plenty of supercomputer customers who have been using high performance compute and ML for decades. So we've got to this point in the hybrid AI journey. It hasn't been dropped in our lap. We've imparted the journey with our customers, except we weren't on that journey together, right? Yeah. And in the last few years, we've been in that journey together. And it turns out we can solve problems together better together than we could on our own. And that's what I'm excited about with the Alliance.
There's a whole heap in there, right? We touched on the technical challenges of hybrid, touched on the operational. You talked a little bit about sustainability. Obviously, we're doing a lot on that as both organizations really pride ourselves on our sustainability credentials, and we pull those two elements together. And then also through our model with HPE GreenLake, we're able to provide that financial benefit as well. Pulling those things together.
That's been critically important, actually, the financial component, the financial mechanics.
Hugely. The financial mechanics have been critical, and that's why we're seeing not just our enterprise customers working with us in this way. We're also seeing, our global solution integrators starting to make this a part of what they're taking to market.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And of course, we're also seeing it with managed service providers. What we're really putting together here is inclusive as a managed service, but it's really only taking it to a certain level, and our partners can really focus there at the apps and data level and take that a step further for their customers, with us managing all the complexity from the data center and the infrastructure layer, and take that away from them completely.
Yeah, I would add a little bit to that, in that I think the definition of partner has kind of evolved a little bit here in the last couple of years as well, because I think maybe before customers would have seen us more as suppliers. And now I think we're truly strategic partners, because I tell you, one of the things I've been surprised about has been the pace of our growth in the last couple of years, and the rate at which customers, when they've signed up for their first project, that very, very quickly they've moved on to their second or their third project with us. And that's not because we're good suppliers, right? I absolutely believe it's because we're really good partners, business partners, and we're delivering on the promises that were made early. And the interesting thing is, I think in every single project that we've worked on together in the last 18 months to 2 years, there have been challenges in every single one, but every single one of those challenges have been met. So like, there's been real conversations, real challenges and real solutions. And I think the practical reality of the relationship with the customer is one that they can believe in, and that they trust in, and they keep coming back for more. And for me, that's been one of the greater surprises, because I thought we would get a lot of new customers trying the relationship for the first time, but to see repeat business coming back, I think that's been very rewarding, I think.
Yeah, the expansion of renewal business has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I think that's, I think it's perfect. It makes perfect sense. Our customers came to us asking for this from the beginning.
Yeah.
They're asking us to show up and deliver more together, and be more than just the sum of our parts. And I think we have to do that, double down on that as we move forward into the age of AI, as we are now, if you want to use that term, and help our customers be hybrid by design. They need that control, but at the same time with the flexibility of a cloud model. And not all clouds are public.
No. That's probably been the biggest realization for a lot of customers, I think, is that private cloud in a co-located environment has real value.
Yeah.
That it's not all about I think when public cloud came out first, AWS got the run on everybody probably back in 2010.
Oh yeah.
But it took a few years, right? And then the other public cloud providers came on stream after another few years. But there was a time there for a lot of enterprise customers that they were getting hit with so much marketing. It seemed like that the public cloud was the only game in town. It was the only answer, right?
Yeah.
Get everything into the public cloud. I think there has been a strong landing of the message and belief in the message in the last couple of years that your own private cloud instance, your own private cloud, giving you dedicated public cloud access in a co-located environment is not just a real option for you, a real alternative, but now that's really your true hybrid cloud by design environment. And then very, very quickly, what's bounced now, of course, is the development of hybrid AI. And I think what's interesting about our partnership in the last couple of years is that if I go back, say 20 years ago in my career, if we did a partnership like this, we would have been trying to portray to the customer, this is perfect, right? Mm-hmm. We've got a perfect partnership for you, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer.
You don't need anyone else anymore.
You don't need anybody else. This is going to be perfect. There will be no problems, right? And what's interesting right now is that we could never say that to a customer today, because our industry is going through one of the biggest transitions that it will ever go through, right? This shift from, let's call it hybrid cloud and private cloud to hybrid AI is the biggest shift for any enterprises, because they need to get it right, because you cannot afford to be left behind in the AI era. There is no doubt about that. The power and the business outcomes that are possible, the art of the possible from hybrid AI, it's too rich. You cannot let your competitors leverage that ahead of you for any considerable amount of time. But what's interesting is when I look at the data center industry for a minute, it's completely rewiring the data center industry. And we've been on that journey, like I said, since probably 2017, right? And we've been on that journey together with you and our customers, of course, in that time. But there's a totally different level of performance, scalability, security that customers are looking for now. And they must have that, right? the risks are too large not being able to provide that.
Yeah.
So I think, to be fair, I think Chris and his team have been building in, modularity and variability into our product portfolio, and for a number of years, and it's almost like a perfect storm now because that's exactly what customers want. But I think part of my point is that customers are still trying to figure out what is the art of the possible for them.
Yeah.
And I think they need real partners that cover the spectrum of what's required, and to help them make that journey themselves. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely seeing that it's not a 20-year-old promise of perfection.
No.
Right. It's a real partnership and alliance that we can present to our customers, that together we can figure out your problems and design hybrid AI for you and your business. And I think that's a big change in the industry, because the industry is trying to figure these things out.
Yeah, I think if I can try and pull that together, saying is, first of all, hybrid by accident is not the journey that we want our customers to continue on. It's certainly not the journey that they can be on as we accelerate into the age of generative AI, of AI in general. But certainly, hybrid by design is the destination that we need to be, and we need to deliver that as an agile and flexible solution. We need to deliver that with control and visibility for a customer, regardless of where the workload's running in any of your cloud environments, be it your HPE GreenLake cloud or your public cloud environment. And deliver with simplification and optimization. And I think in the partnership that we have, we are delivering for our customers, and that tells in the growth and accelerated growth that we're seeing together.
Just on the fact that it has been 18 months or so since we did this before, there's an awful lot of water under the bridge since then. You have a lot more solutions under the GreenLake banner, right? Yeah. Since then, do you mind? Because there's a few things I'd like to talk about from a colocation perspective that I think have been big changes in the last 12, 18 months. And maybe you could share a few on the GreenLake side as well. It'd probably be good context for the conversation we're having.
Yeah, I mean, well, as we talk about this movement to AI that we've seen, everybody's aware of the impact that NVIDIA have had in that. Well, yourself from in June when we were in Las Vegas at HPE Discover, Antonio Neri, our CEO, was on stage with Jensen Huang from NVIDIA and announced the really exciting changes or additions to our portfolio, I should say.
That's right.
Our HPC computing with NVIDIA for our high density for LLM workloads, and we've made some huge investments there to jointly develop solutions that are fully developed together and integrated as full stack AI solutions. And as well, not just in the LLM space or the HPC space, we also developed PCAI, which is HPE PCAI with NVIDIA. And it's a full stack solution available in a number of sizes that are more optimized for generative AI inferencing and RAG and so on. So
it's funny because when I saw that announcement, it was a lot of the questions in the last, say, 12 months in particular, but let's say 12, 18 months, have been centered around, yes, but is AI, is it a future thing? Yeah. Or is it, when is it going to happen? When is it going to go mainstream? You bringing products like that out to general availability,
yeah,
it is now mainstream.
Well, exactly that. And I think, I'll let you talk a little bit about the conversations that we've been having about how we can continue to develop that and make this PCAI a reality for our customers, because it's a step change, and many of them, as we know, are still figuring out exactly how they're going to use this technology. They know they need it, and they can think of a number of use cases, but where do you start?
Where do you start? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you start? And, for many years, I used the phrase, what's the art of the possible for the customer, right? And for many of your partners that are driving those solutions for your customers on GreenLake. But, I was saying to you before, this AI era, the era of hybrid AI, it is fundamentally turning the data center industry upside down. There is no doubt about that. Our CTO, Chris Sharp, and his team just released back in April a new private AI exchange solution, which is really a demonstration that we need to have a different level of performance and scalability and security for customers who are deploying AI solutions, right? And we recognize that. Look at the lengths to which air cooling is now being pushed, right? As we are in this transition period towards, direct liquid cooling and other cooling solutions for high performance workloads. It's incredible. And, given the size of our data center estate, we've over, I think it's 330 data centers now under management. We have 2.5 gigawatt of data center power under management. And we have a very, very clear roadmap to 3 gigawatts. And I can tell you, getting to 3 gigawatts will be a lot faster than it was for us to get to the first half a gigawatt, right?
Oh, sure.
So, I think when you look at all of these advancements, you would never have thought that a market-leading data center company like ours would be, driving use case offerings into customers, right? We would never usually have to think about things like that, right? But customers need that help to know that we can address the challenges that hybrid AI and hybrid cloud are bringing to them. And I talked earlier about our swim lanes. The great thing about this alliance for customers is that we know our swim lanes, and we are bringing different tool sets and different frameworks and different parts of new solutions to customers for new challenges. I think that's really critical. But that's been a big change in the last 12, 18 months, I think, for both organizations.
Yeah.
Big change.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that, that's a lot in terms of the portfolio additions and in terms of this exciting developments in AI. I think what remains consistent is the value that we can bring, and it's only accentuated at certain parts. At HPE GreenLake, at Digital Realty, is a single tenant cloud experience, totally abstracted from the customer, from the data center through the infrastructure, underpinned by HPE.
Sorry, when you say abstracted, how do you mean abstracted? Explain that one to me.
I mean, if customers would go to the public, we talk about the public cloud experience being the utopia. It's not about just the pay-as-you-go economics or the shared resource economics that worked so well, particularly during the age of the web app. We talked about the utilization levels, etc. But it's also about the simplicity operationally of not having to run a data center facility, not having to think about power, space, cooling. You talked about liquid cooling, you talked about air cooling. Those are all engineering problems that are handled on behalf of the customer by their public cloud providers. With HPE as the engineering power behind the infrastructure, and we have, of course, our own direct liquid cooling technology, over 500 patents around that, and we partner tightly and share information with Digital Realty on those topics as well. But bringing in the data center capabilities and putting HPE's facilities engineering, technology engineering, and managed services capability around that, we take the data center and the infrastructure out of the burden of management for our customers. So in a way, when we refer to it as HPE GreenLake at colocation, we really should be saying HPE GreenLake with the ability to make the data center disappear.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty of white papers in over the last couple of decades about the data center is dead and customers are going to exit their data center. I don't think customers will ever exit their own private data center 100%. No less than I ever believed they were going to go to the public cloud 100%.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
But you're absolutely right. They need to be in a position where they don't have to think about the challenges of managing a modern 21st century data center environment. Those facilities, they need to be table stakes for customers. Customers need to be 100% focused on their business outcomes, right?
Yeah.
Modernizing their infrastructure, continuing their digital transformation journey. It happens to now include hybrid AI, right? In another future, it'll include quantum, right? But right now, they're shifting from public hybrid AI, and a lot of those decisions can be made for them in the background, by ourselves. But you are right. I mean, the design of facilities, the power requirements, the physical floor requirements for new infrastructure, which is higher density, literally heavier, right? They don't have to concern themselves about those things, and I think that's really, really important. And I think customers would be pleasantly surprised if they were to know the level to which we are engaged at a BU level and at a product level. And I think one of the biggest influences, I'll finish with this point maybe, I think one of the biggest influences over the next 5 to 10 years on data center design will be how we're working with partners like yourselves and NVIDIA, for example. Because I think the OEM is going to have the biggest single impact on data center design going forward. And that wouldn't always been the case. I think, to be fair, in the last 20 years, our biggest customers would have had the biggest influence. But I think our biggest customers want what you're offering, right? And then that roadmap towards hybrid AI right now is exactly where they want to get to.
Well, we're very proud of our position as number one in the supercomputing market, as you know. But yeah, and I think just showing up for our customers commercially as well. A single contract, a single monthly pay-as-you-go consumption-based invoice is taking away all the upfront costs and investment of accessing these type of technologies is important. So HPE GreenLake, inclusive of Digital Realty. I just want to take a moment to thank you for your continued partnership, and thanks for coming, having a chat today.
Thank you, Scott. Thanks very much. Let's not leave it another 18 months. Good stuff.